this video, I will talk about plants, their organs, their tissues, and their flowers. So the first thing to know about angiosperms, or flowering plants, is that they can be dicots or monocots, and a cot is a cotyledon, or a baby plant. So the main difference between dicots and monocots is in their seeds, whereas in a dicot seed, they have two cotyledons, or baby plant formations, and in a monocot seed, there is only one cotyledon. Another difference is in their leaves, whereas the veins in a dicot leaf branch out from one, and in monocots, all the veins are parallel. Another difference lies in their root systems. In a dicot root system, there is a main root and a bunch of other roots that branch off to the side. In a monocot root system, it's more net-like. Finally, in their flowers, a dicot typically has 4 petals or 5 petals on its flowers, and a monocot typically only has 3. The next important thing to note is plant organs. First of all, there are leaves, which undergo photosynthesis to make sugars for the plant, and they also have these little structures under the leaves called stomata. If the plant is lacking water, it can let water in and let CO2 out, or if it needs CO2, it can let CO2 in and let the water out. The next structure is the stem. It can support the plant physically and nutritionally by moving water and nutrients up and down the plant. It also prevents animals and disease from injuring or destroying the plant. Next are the roots, which hold everything in place, and they also move nutrients in from the soil. They take it up the plant to the leaves and all the other parts of the plant. According to recent studies, plants can sort of sense where their siblings are. If they're from the same mother plant, then they don't really try to crowd each other out. If they aren't from the same mother plant, they become rivals and they want to crowd the other plants out in order to get the most nutrients for themselves. So it's kind of cool. They have almost like a selective competition. Now we move on to plant tissues. The first type of plant tissue is called dermal tissue. It's almost like the plant's skin or epidermis. It can be waxy or fuzzy, and it helps the plant prevent water loss. The next type of tissue is vascular tissue, and it has 2 main parts. It has the xylem, which is in blue, and the phloem, which is in red. The phloem carries nutrients and sugars throughout the plant, while the xylem carries water. The last type of tissue is called ground tissue. It makes and holds sugars, supports the plant, and is usually the part that is edible. It is made up of 3 types of cells: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Parenchyma has the thinnest cell wall and is where photosynthesis takes place. Collenchyma has a thicker cell wall and it protects plant organs. Sclerenchyma has the thickest cell wall and is typically what makes up seed coats. The last major part of a plant is its flower, or reproductive organ. It is made up of 2 parts, the female and the male. The male part is called a stamen and is made up of a filament and an anther. And the anther holds the pollen grain, or flower sperm, which will later fertilize the female part, which is called the carpel. A carpel is made up of a stigma, which catches the pollen grain, a style, which holds that up, an ovule, which is inside the ovary, and that is where the developing seed will implant. There's also a protective outer covering called a sepal, which protects the bud until it is fully developed.